North Carolina State Highway Patrol.
What cigarette do you smoke, Doctor?
A contributing factor to our juvenile delinquency of today.
Rock and roll has got to go.
And welcome back to the Hometown Holler. I'm Daniel Ayers.
And I'm Quinn Ray. Well, hey, man.
Two things. One, we're interviewing a president of a prestigious university, so I dressed like a professor.
Or Mr. Rogers.
Or Mr. Rogers. Part two, this is going to go out after Halloween, but this is the day before Halloween.
Yes.
And in the spirit of Halloween...
Oh, Lord, Daniel.
Trick or treat, Quinn Ray.
Okay, I never take down a good trick.
Well, here we got some lottery tickets. I got spooky loot from the North Carolina Education Lottery.
You remind me of my Uncle Kenny. That's what he always gives out for Christmas.
So growing up in a Quaker family, we didn't even play the lottery.
Yeah, wasn't allowed.
I'm gonna I've got my own concerns ethically about the lottery. It's a tax on poverty.
Absolutely.
But I have never played the lottery. Ever.
Oh, doctor.
I've never bought a ticket.
Have you ever scratched
that's the only way to win.
Somebody gave me a ticket one time, and I scratched and lost.
And it takes one.
Yeah. So I have won the lottery because I've never played it.
Oh, there you go.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I never really played it that much either.
Well, I got a quarter right here, Quinn, so you're going to play it right now.
Oh, you want me to do it right now?
Scratch that off.
Oh,
yeah.
my goodness.
This is exciting.
It is exciting. Scratch. So I got a winning
Daddy's
numbers.
little baby needs a new pair of shoes.
26 and 27 are the winning numbers, Daniel Ayers.
I'm feeling it, man. This is it.
I'm not there. Man,
first row, I see a 30 and a 17.
I got a couple more tombstones to go, and alas, I got a 25.
This is spooky. This is extra.
Was this one a $1 card?
These are $2.
Nope.
I sprung
He
for a
went big.
$2 card. Yeah, Larry, let me do mine real quick. And then we got a $1
I cannot
here.
believe you bought scratch offs.
Does the podcast make money? Is this how
We're about to.
Is this how the podcast makes money?
All right, so mine are 3 and 28, and I really oh man,
You didn't do it.
closest I got was 4, 1 over. That's
Unfortunate. That's a spooky look.
That's
Daniel.
Halloween.
But
there
you
we
just
go.
helped the education.
We did.
Of North Carolina.
I just
Contributed to the education.
Man, if only it worked that way.
It's really funny though, because I would like to think that I'm immune to the charms of the lottery, but as you're scratching, you cannot help but think about what you're going to do when you win.
Oh, that dopamine.
I'm already
rush.
spending that money. Already spending that money. All right, well that was fun.
Yeah, well, thank you for the Halloween
you're
trick,
welcome.
Daniel. But today you did mention we are interviewing a president from a prestigious university, and it just happens to be the university in our backyard, and it's
quite literally your backyard.
Quite literally, yes, my backyard, and it's Dr. Connie Book. She's been at Elon for almost 10 years now, right?
Yes. My 8th year as president.
Yeah, and it's been real exciting. I've seen a lot of good growth and change in the university. One of the biggest things that I've enjoyed when you came in, one of your initiatives was community and civic engagement, and really making sure that everybody belonged and was a part of Alamance County. Because so typically growing up in Alamance County, we hear, Elon University is a New Englander travel destination for college, and then they go elsewhere, and you've really put in an initiative to try to invest back in Alamance County. And I think that's just really cool and something a lot of Alamance Countyans take for granted. So today we're going to talk all things higher ed and the climate that we're in, and just thanks for coming on the show.
I'm excited to be here, and it's exciting to be in downtown Burlington. We have a small facility here in downtown Burlington.
Like right around the corner, I think.
I was thinking the awning looks dirty as I drove past it. But I thought it's really nice, and every time I come downtown, I'm excited about some of the new initiatives, and I know Impact Alamance's facilities are making a difference, but to see LabCorp, there's so many good businesses downtown and really making a difference. So it's fun to be here.
Awesome. Thanks for coming. So I think we can just jump right into it.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier about how sometimes people don't understand higher education. They have this idea about it. And I know a lot of times we take it for granted being in the town and just driving through it. So how would you define learning and growth in the 21st century of higher ed?
I think when people think about colleges or hear about them in the news, often they are the larger research universities. So, they have this perception of, what a Chapel Hill student or in the news lately, it's been Harvard. So these are really large large research institutions, that the mission of the university is not so much focused on an 18 to 22-year-old, but it's focused on producing research, ideas, discovery. And it's so one of the things I love about the United States is that we have this diversity of higher education. We actually are the envy of the world, that we have everything from a small independent college like Guilford College, a Quaker mission, all the way to a community college 2-year system, to a public regional college like UNC Charlotte, to a research university like Duke, or a private in that case, and then Chapel Hill and NC State. I mean, we are the most diverse system of higher education in the world. Culinary institutes. I can just keep, talking about art institutes. So, when people hear about higher education, they focus on that big football school research, and they think, oh, it's like that at all schools. Well, and I will say 60% of college students do go to that type of school. But the other 40% offer also a different kind of experience. But the 18 to 22-year-old is today a student who, in my experience, is looking for a way to connect to professional life after, right? Trying to learn a skill. College also, one of the really important things that happens in college is you build your community. You find your friends, and the people who you're going to inevitably go off to work with or get married to or spend the rest of your life. And it ends up being a foundation for lifelong relationships. And that includes your faculty and staff too.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed when I was at the Root. I would see a ton of faculty come in with alumni. Like they still are sitting and having lunch and having dinner with them, and that relationship is still kindled. And especially with social media, just seeing the professors commenting on somebody who graduated 15, 20 years ago, being connected and having that network. But you said a bunch of universities, and I think we need to give some flowers here before we move too much. You didn't include Elon. And, Elon was #1 ranking for undergraduate teaching for the 5th consecutive year, #8 for most innovative university. And this is in the nation, guys. And when you hear those numbers, again, we take it for granted, but we have a national renowned university here in Alamance County.
And 25% of our students are from North Carolina. So
that's cool. Yeah.
Playing for the home team.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Right. And we're a net importer, meaning the out-of-state students come and then they like it here and they're like, oh, I think I'll stay. And so we actually are an important importer of talent into this area as well as the rest of the state. I'm really proud of what Elon has achieved. For our listeners, Elon founded in 1889 as a coeducational institution, which was really rare back in the day. We were mainly, when we opened, educating future teachers. They say teachers, preachers for the early colleges. So we did a lot of that. But Elon does innovate, and it continued to innovate over the last 130 years. And and so it has this sustaining power. Today, we're at 7,100 students, mostly undergrads, 6,200 undergrads. We have 6 professional schools that, work to develop skill sets around a great liberal arts core curriculum, and our faculty are superstars. They are innovative. They have leveraged. We're on a 4-credit hour system. So when a student takes a class, most colleges, they're in class 3 hours a week. At Elon, when they take a class, they're in class 4 hours.
I was so mad at my friends that went to Elon because they graduated before me because of that. Yeah. It was like, oh, you make me so...
They had a lot. And we call that extra hour the engaged hour. And so our faculty have really had an opportunity over the this has been in place for 35 years, had a chance to design an engaged classroom. So there's, we have a kind of rule of thumb. You try not to do anything more than 15, 20 minutes, and then you move them as a way to keep them learning, alert, and engaged. And we see students when they come in and when they exit, and it really is remarkable what they achieve during that time.
Sure.
And, we have the privilege of witnessing that. But this is why Elon keeps getting ranked #1 for great teaching is people come from all over the world to interact with our faculty about teaching and excellence in teaching and how we have been able to design and support teachers over the years.
I look back in history and it seems like, at least in the past century, there really hasn't been an easy time to be leading an institution of higher education. I was just rewatching the Ken Burns Vietnam series, and I'm like, man, I cannot imagine,
Of course you were.
being the president of Kent State
yeah.
or Berkeley, really any school. But now it's an especially challenging time for a variety of reasons. And I think there are a lot of folks who I think there's an I'll call it a gap of understanding between how institutions of higher education, colleges, universities, and I'm speaking here from community college all the way up to those giant public research institutions, to what their purpose is and what they do. And you're leading a very specific type of institution, a liberal arts college. And I think a lot of people hear the term liberal arts
And freak
out because
Yes.
because the term liberal has become that it's a multifaceted term, and people associate it within a strictly political context. What are the liberal arts?
Okay, so let me I sometimes do say to people, no, liberally educated, meaning they take courses in a lot of different disciplines. I mean, that's what we mean when we say it's a
That's
liberal
helpful.
arts education. And that includes the sciences, they focus on, and so I do try to say the liberal arts and sciences so people understand. And I think most people who go to college realize, oh yeah, I did have required courses in history and math and biology and not, so that's what we're talking about, are students taking a broad spectrum of foundational courses that they then can connect the dots with what's happening. Don't you think that, when people ask me about 18 to 22-year-olds, I'm always like, yeah, it's the most hopeful, like I'm around hope all day.
Yeah.
And I wish that people could see what I see, because this generation, they are different than my generation, but isn't that a good thing? that they're, changing. And I'm not surprised that universities are often the hotbed of controversy, because it's where the past meets the future. Right. And so my daughter does a much better job of putting things in perspective for me that I wasn't able to do, but she can do, and her generation can do. So she'll mirror back things to me. I was telling her, when I was in high school, the Air Force used to give this test. It was called, the acronym was the ASVAB, and it was a battery, like a skill, like a California Achievement Test or something. And it would tell you what you would be good at.
Your specialty.
Yeah, when you
Gotcha.
grad, it's like, you might consider these professions. And mine came back secretary. And I'm sure it was because I was a woman. Like,
Oh,
Right.
yes.
They didn't even read the test. They just saw your, checked
Connie,
the female
Connie,
box. All
Connie,
right.
this is it.
So I was telling my daughter about that, and she's like, Mom, do you think they meant like Secretary of State? And I was like, there it is, the voice of the next generation.
Yeah, that's awesome.
To do that. So I am not surprised that it's controversial. What's not acceptable, in my opinion, is that we saw some behavior on college campuses last year. Around the protests over the Israeli-Gaza conflict.
Big at UNC especially.
Yeah.
That's
In North Carolina,
In
yeah.
North
Yeah,
Carolina.
And and encamped on the campus, and in my view, when your right to protest infringes on another person's right to safety, to be able to access class in that case, that's wrong. That's wrong.
Yeah.
And that we have to build systems where we can come around a table and have disagreement in a respectful way. And I do think that is universities' jobs. And by that, I don't mean, sometimes things can get heated and all. I'm not a Pollyanna to think that, you don't have divided conversations or even tough ones. I had students approach me during that period who were very passionate about one side or the other.
Sure.
And, these were heartfelt concerns, and they were tense conversations, but we need to have the discipline and practice. Like riding a bicycle, you have to learn how to do that. That doesn't, It's not everybody wakes up with a skill set of having tough conversations with people. It's actually a skill set I think you learn by doing, and we need to keep creating those opportunities. So I've been really proud that Elon, what we did have differences. We had some protests on campus, but they were respectful. Meaning they didn't, scare anyone or use language that was offensive and polarizing. And they didn't block anybody's access to class or the library. So there is a way to do it. And I've actually been really proud of our students in our community of determining the ways to do it by working through those things in tough conversations.
So I can agree in the sense of, blocking access and stuff like that's wrong. But if the protests on Elon's campus were using colorful language and were having that, like, how does the role of the university play in that, with the free speech aspect of things?
Yes, and people do have a right to free speech. We actually published, our community got together. It took a year and a half to do this, and we did it in 2017 and 18. We worked across students, faculty, and staff to develop a statement about free speech and inclusive excellence, meaning what does the practice of free speech look like in this space? So it's, right, one thing is that speech has consequence. So if you're going to leverage your free speech, which is great, but there may be consequence to that.
Absolutely.
Right? So
Absolutely.
we all need to be prepared that however we're speaking, that there could be real consequence.
That's I never really thought of it in those terms, but you're right. Freedom of speech is not freedom from consequences.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And if people, exercise a speech that is offensive to others. So I'm talking about, name calling or this, which is a legal right. I can go out on and shout from the sidewalk names and call people names, and I actually have the right to do that. The consequence is somebody may get out of their car, come over and give me one.
Or like an employer, right? Like you can't just say whatever you want to at work or on your social media without your employer potentially
giving you some consequence.
They reserve that right.
Yeah. So, and being, I think, transparent about what those consequences are. We do have a speaker's corner on campus, which is a designated space that you don't have to reserve. You can anybody can go over there, and people do use it,
that's neat.
Where they...
Do you have to be a student asking for a friend?
Actually, I don't even know the answer to that.
I'm just kidding. I'm not...
Yeah, answer your question. Yes, you have to be a student.
I'm blessed with this platform, so I don't need to...
I don't know. That would be really
harass
cool.
anybody anywhere else.
But we had a reporter on campus who was at one of the protests, and what's funny is one of the protests was not too far from Speaker's Corner, and there was another group protesting that group at Speaker's Corner. And when they passed each other at the end of the protest, the reporter heard one of them say, "Hey, I hope everything went well for you." And that it was what you wanted. And just noting, that's different, right? That's a culture that is saying, okay, we don't have to hate each other in the middle of disagreeing on political or social views, right?
How does Elon handle the politicalness of it, right? Because there's one thing to disagree on color and disagree on favorite hot dog and pizza joint and stuff. But even if you're not paying attention directly, through osmosis, we are being inundated with the political attacks that, this is the type of teaching that is happening to our students. They don't need to go to higher education, to colleges, because they're going to be indoctrinated with some type of whatever. So how does Elon handle when a complaint gets brought to you, or if you notice something like that? Is there something in place to have a metric?
Yeah, we do. Occasionally we do have a suggestion box, and we have, places to submit, concerns that are anonymous. So we do have vehicles for people to share if they feel like they're experiencing something they shouldn't be. But let's say a situation where you're in class and there was only one point of view allowed to. I will say that, in my 8 years as president, I've maybe had 2 of those.
Okay.
So
wow,
it's not
pretty rare.
I want to tell listeners, that I'm just here to tell you that the faculty are there to teach. Whatever the discipline is, that they value multiple perspectives. They're scholars, so they are trained to think in multiple streams and value class conversation. Our classrooms are at their best when people are feeling like their view can be heard, that they have, we talk about how important peer learning is. If everybody in your class agrees, that is not going to be the best learning environment.
it's
It's
gonna suck.
actually, even I like to make sure on my own calendar that when we have speakers and events, that I'm challenging myself to go to different viewpoint speakers. I always, if I'm, sometimes there's this feeling that we're telling students what to think, and I will tell you that we make it a point to present ourselves as president and as faculty and staff as learners, that we're learning with you, that when the Israel-Gaza events unfolded, I emailed the campus. I said, look, I don't know where you sit on this position, but this is important. And here we're going to set up these learning opportunities so you can understand the root causes of this conflict and the outcome. So really just pressing on students to develop their own viewpoint through knowledge and engagement around that. So to me, that's the primary responsibility of a university. We have at Elon, we actually have in our mission statement that, a liberty of conscience, that we really want students to be able to develop their own viewpoints and to be able to find a sense of purpose and profession. Well, so this transformation that happens when you go to college, that we want that for our students, not just in finding a skill set, but also finding a sense of purpose in who they are and what they believe.
So people that think that the universities are just emailing the whole campus saying, you need to believe this is just not happening.
Or professors saying, hey, there's only one correct answer here. That's not. We live in a much more nuanced world. We actually also train our faculty. This is one of the things that why people come to Elon is when you're having these tough conversations, one of the best practices is to go up 30,000 feet. So rather than talking about it from a personal perspective, that you actually try to get up 30,000 feet so that people don't feel attacked in it. And that will allow them to hear each other better. So if you're talking about a situation here in North Carolina, let's say what happened in Asheville and FEMA being blamed or whatever. So jump up 30,000 feet. Well, so let's talk about what is the role of government in a crisis. In natural disaster, and to use another example, like the fires in California. Let's talk about and to get out of the personalized piece, up 30,000 feet where you're able to discuss this issue without as strong of personal emotion.
This reminds me of an Eleanor Roosevelt quote, which I'm paraphrasing, but it was something like, petty minds discuss people, average minds discuss events, and great minds discuss ideas. And it sounds like taking a 30,000 foot approach would be to just take it to the plane of ideas. Let's talk about the bigger, the conceptions that that are at play. And I love how you describe that faculty-student relationship as almost companionship, intellectual companionship. Like we're figuring this out too, right? I think there's a real humility and a real intellectual honesty. And I also, just talking about the notions people have about, I don't know if the word has been used yet, maybe you did use it, but like indoctrination and stuff. Like if faculty, if my professors could have indoctrinated me and my classmates, we all would have done our homework.
Yeah, there would have been no late papers.
Right, exactly.
Right?
We would have been,
That didn't work.
There's a, but on the question of freedom of speech, there was I mentioned before we started taping that, I go to the James Elder lecture every year. And Jim, if you're listening, shout out to Jim Elder. Dude throws a killer lecture. And this year they had Frederick Lawrence, who is the Phi Beta Kappa president. And I believe, oh my gosh, I should maybe edit this. I think he was president of Brandeis.
Yes,
Okay,
Brandeis.
Cool. Look at that. So
No editing needed.
look at that. Batting 1,000. And he was talking about where does free speech end and hate speech begin? Because not all speech is protected, right? And that was a question that has always, at least up to that point, had always perplexed me. Because free speech is sacrosanct, right? That's the foundation of not just our society, but especially being at a university, that sometimes people have to hear things they don't want to hear. And whether that's, walking past somebody at the speaker's corner or just in a classroom discussion, people need to feel comfortable expressing counterintuitive ideas, things that are, seem marginal, and sometimes those things are going to be uncomfortable. But where do we draw the line? And when do we know somebody has crossed into the space of something that isn't acceptable and is out? And he said a couple things that really stuck with me. One of them is that free speech is not the Wild West, right? It is a kind of a contract that elevates our speech and exists to enrich our society,
That makes
bring out
sense.
the best in each other. And then he said something that, oh man, this was so good. He said,
Oh, I see it in your face.
no, because I wrote it down because I think somebody in Q&A said, yeah, but how do you really know? And he said, quoting, I think, a Supreme Court justice, he said, even a dog knows the difference between being kicked and being tripped over. And I think that is so on the money with speech. Everybody knows when if somebody's talking to me, I know when they meant to twist the knife and go for me as a person and make me feel unsafe and marginal, and when they have just said something that in the abstract is counter to what I believe.
I don't disagree. Other than I think it's really hard to understand that through text. And in a world full of AI now, in a world
emojis
full of
too,
right?
Yeah.
Like that tonation is an art
Many
in
shades
writing.
of gray.
Yes,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
so seeing the eyebrows and your lips and the way you're talking will definitely help me understand if you're digging the knife in or not. But I want to linger just one more question, Dr. Book, on this free speech. And you talked about how you did, how Elon cultivates that for students. What about the professors? Because we're also seeing that now where professors are afraid to talk or afraid to bring up a subject, or they're being watched by the eye in the sky. Is there something that that Elon's doing to help cultivate that conversation, not just with students, but with professors?
Well, faculty do have a set of professional standards that they have voted and agreed on that appear in the faculty handbook.
Democracy.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's everything from, that, about a student's right to, it's about the relationship that you have with students and their ability to express themselves in class. And, here's an example. A faculty member, let's say they support some cause, and they wear a sweatshirt to class with that cause.
Great example. I like what you're
sweatshirt.
doing. Yes.
And the student in the class, let's say that you can imagine a bunch of scenarios where people have divisive viewpoints on different topics.
Yep.
And, let's say it's a candidate for election, right?
Okay.
And they're wearing the sweatshirt to class.
I was envisioning the Save Ferris Bueller. Should his absences be excused? Is he truant? Is he tardy?
So good.
Because you could be on both sides of that issue.
Yeah, that's right. So, so really the faculty member, I think their peers would weigh in that is better not, that's not a good idea. Or to wear a, you can wear a button that says I voted, but not a button for a candidate. Because when you're in front of the class, you are a leader and there's some responsibility there. And so, before you go into the class, better take that off and try to present neutrally to the class. And I think that it's not that students expect them not to be people. It's about creating an environment where people are willing to disagree and bring forward causes. And the reality is that professors grading them, right? And so there is this power issue where you're going to receive a grade from this faculty. So those are the kinds of sensitivities that faculty, it's really important to have space where faculty can talk through that, especially when they're feeling really passionate about a topic. And I have colleagues that have taken up more cause, that their work in research led them to want to work in the space, and have left teaching because of this issue of, we really do have to present multiple perspectives. And if I'd rather use my time and my energy advocating for one solution, then probably the classroom's you're not going to be satisfied in the classroom where you're exploring the topic versus advocating for a solution.
you mentioned you got some Citadel stories.
Yeah.
And I'm just because your I guess CV, your professional biography is really interesting. You came to Elon from a military institution down in South Carolina.
That's so crazy
which
just
is
to think
like,
about, right?
Pretty wild. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
you were the first female provost, or do I have that correct? Okay,
Yes,
wow.
yeah.
I'm taking a lot of leaps today, and it's somehow
It's working. The synapses are working.
yeah, it's
Except
amazing.
on this damn spooky
I
loop.
did.
I mean, it's-
I slept on the lottery, but this Clyde Mays has got me playing the hits. What was that like? Because that's a very different culture. I say that I've never been to the Citadel. I would imagine it's a very different culture.
Have you been to the Citadel?
The most I've ever been to the Citadel, I'm a big wrestler, so I know I talk a lot about WWF wrestling, but I was a big...
The World Wildlife Fund.
Yes.
Have a great wrestling team.
They did it, yes.
Yeah.
I was a big freestyle wrestler, a big folk style wrestler, really big into college wrestling and doing that. So I would go up there, especially when I was on UNCG and we were in the same conference, you know, the SoCon. So yeah, I would see a lot of wrestling at the Citadel, but that is it.
I would be so intimidated to wrestle anybody from a place called the Citadel. Like,
They had white and blue uniforms, and they're just, I mean, they're not the
you weren't
best
put off by it?
singlets. Oh, no,
They're
no.
actually the same Carolina blue color, right?
All right,
So it's
all right.
white and Carolina blue. I will say I love my time at the Citadel. I call it my big life adventure.
Yeah.
You know, I was at Elon. I'd been there 16 years. I was associate provost, and I had a headhunter call me that I had interacted with, and she called. She said, "Connie, I have got the job for you." And
Oh,
she was
man.
like, she really wanted me to just take this leap of faith into
Every good adventure starts that way.
Yeah.
With the headhunter.
Yeah.
With a headhunter,
Saying,
yeah.
one more job.
And I went and I really enjoyed all the people there. One of their graduates is the writer Pat Conroy. He's passed away now, but he wrote a book about the Citadel called The Lords of Discipline, and they made a movie about it. And the Citadel has this nostalgia to it of deep, thick tradition. And you know, on my very first day there, so I report to a 3-star general. His name is General Rosa, super nice guy, but like he flew the stealth. Like this is
Wow.
this is a guy.
He's seen things.
Oh, yeah,
He's
he's
seen
the
things.
dude.
And wait, and so to work at the Citadel, you don't have to have a military background.
Yes, you
necessarily.
did. You don't on the academic
On the
side
academic
of the
side,
house.
okay.
I think most of their other leaders have some type of military background. But when you take the job, I was commissioned as a brigadier general.
Whoa.
Not secretary?
Not secretary, that's right, a brigadier general in the South Carolina Corps of Cadets. And they used
That is so cool.
I still have my 1-star in my office, but they used the Army standard for that. But
How do you not just like use that all the time?
yeah,
like,
I do.
General Book, nice to meet you.
I'm gonna say that
At ease.
Ben noticed it more. That 1-star.
Sure.
Notice it, but I do, and you know, I had to go through protocol training.
Oh man,
You know, I went to Fort Knox for a boot camp experience. I jumped at 13,000 feet with the
By
Special
yourself?
Corps.
Were you-
No.
Okay.
I was with
Tandem.
in tandem
Yeah.
with the.
That's incredible.
I have a lot of stories about that, but you know, there was this one captain that was training me. And I had to carry ammo on my back
No way.
through quicksand on my elbows, right on my knees, because we were trying to move ammo
The
across.
machete in your teeth. Yeah.
Right. And this captain, so they would simulate gunfire over your head. So you hear, you know, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a rude awakening. And it reminds us of the risks that our officers and soldiers are taking every day. So I have a lot of respect. But I'm on my hands and knees crawling, and I hear that gunfire, and the captain's like, move. And I'm like, no.
No.
Wow.
And he walks over to me and he puts his finger and he's poking me in the head saying, that little lady, that's going to get you killed. You got to move when I say move. And
Fair.
Turn your brain off. Yeah. And so, I learned a lot about leadership in those moments, but in that one, when it's chaotic and all. And so the training is very much creating chaos for the cadets and trying to get them to focus, right? Listen to me, focus. So I was my very first week at the Citadel, and the new class was moving in. So they call the freshmen knobs because they shave their heads. At VMI, they're called rats because they have to sleep on the floor. Their beds are on the floor. I'm not clear on that one.
Yeah.
But so
Knob.
the commandant at the Citadel is the equivalent of the vice president for student life.
Okay.
All right. So he runs the campus life, and he was a former Navy SEAL.
Whoa. Yeah.
So he said,
I mean, commandant is a lot more intimidating than vice president for student
Like,
life.
yeah.
It sounds a lot less fun.
Right.
So he's like, Connie, I want you to come observe check-in where the cadets are arriving and their parents are dropping them off, and they're not allowed into the barrack. So they have to leave them on the outside so the kid comes in. So, they know they're signing up for something hard. Well, a sophomore student, I'm standing next to the sophomore cadet who is trained to check them in. So remember, the goal here is to create chaos, like confusion, to help
Overwhelm them.
to focus, to get them to focus. And that's like they're trying to teach them to prepare for war. Like you need to be able to focus in a very stressful situation. So I'm coming from Elon, where literally on move-in day, we're playing beach music. There's
It's a Jimmy Buffett concert.
So this is move-in day, And I walk in and I'm standing next to that desk, and the sophomore, the student, he's nervous. He comes up to the desk, and the sophomore says, "Don't look at me." I was like, okay, that's his first command. So the student looks up, right? He looks up, lifts up his head. And then his second command is, I want you to pick up this red pen. I want you to pick up a red pen and write your name. Pick up that red pen. So then I look down, and there are 3 red pens. So what do you do what do you do?
You pick up a red pen.
Yeah, I mean, there's...
You hesitate. You see 3,
Yeah.
right?
You do, yeah.
All right, so they're ready for you to hesitate. And then the checker says, "Are you stupid? I said pick up the red pen. Pick up that red pen. Pick it up." And the kid, he's like, "Oh, I'm going to pick up the red pen." He picks it up. And in that moment, I was thinking, what have I done?
Yeah.
I'm a long way from Elon.
This ain't Kansas anymore.
I think it was the stupid part. So I walk over to the officer that's in charge. They call them TAC officers. And I say, "Now, is he doing this correctly? Is he checking in this student? Ma'am, he's been trained. He's doing it correctly." And I was like, oh, my gosh.
Oh, man.
So that kicked off my experience there.
Did you ever do that to anybody? So once you've been there for a little
you have
bit
to yell at
and
people?
move in, we're like, "Don't look at me! Pick up the red
I
pen!"
will tell you, they have a really, they use an honor code system. And most universities are on a 3-strike system, meaning the first time you get in trouble, you're on probation. The second time, you're suspended.
Is Elon the same way?
Third time, you're kicked out. Yeah, we have 3. You get 3. It depends how severe.
And you can't
but-
walk on the grass. Is that right?
No,
At Elon?
Yeah,
That's what I've heard.
Oh, my gosh.
We can walk on the grass. I did it today.
You can't get in the fountains, though.
You're not supposed to get in the fountains. Please don't get in the fountain. But they have this really hard honor code system, and so if you are found in a violation of the honor code, you get kicked out. There's a 1 strike.
Wow,
That's
one
it.
and done.
One and done. And
Wow.
so I had I'll never forget this. I had a 3rd-year engineering student. It's a really hardworking young people at the Citadel, and he came in and he had been accused of sneaking out, which passed curfew, which is at 10 o'clock. Okay, so this whole system has a lot of rules, right?
Oh, yeah, sounds
They're
like
in
it.
study hall. They,
20 years old, can't go out past 10.
10, yeah, Sunday through Thursday, you're in. And he had been accused of sneaking out. And he had worked so hard, and this was like an electrical engineer, right, who had worked. And I was like, whatever you do in this moment, because I'm about to ask you questions, do not lie. Do not lie. Whatever, because ours is do not lie, cheat, or steal is the honor code. And
Did he start crying? Like, I did it.
No, he lied.
Oh, man.
And guess what happened?
He got kicked out.
He got kicked out.
Because I bet you knew all the answers before you
yes,
asked any of those
course,
questions.
You knew.
Yeah.
Like they had the evidence there and cameras and video of, because the whole place is, today, as you could see on the video him exiting. And I just thought, so if he had told the truth and said, yeah, I did it, he would have been punished. He would have gotten, I forgot what they called him, but they had to carry their weapon around and walk and carry his penance. He would have been punished, which would have been bad, but, not getting kicked out and losing all that progress and the honor of being a Citadel grad, which, is, when I meet Citadel grads, they're just exceptional. They've had just great discipline and love our country and want to, really prosper democracy. So in the military, sometimes people are confused about this, but they actually take an oath to the Constitution. So does the Peace Corps. It's very similar. So when you get sworn in the military, you're not under any political group, or they are taking an oath to protect the Constitution of the United States. And 90% of their effort is really about peacekeeping, right? How do you not make war is really the goal, right? And so they do all.
We got a War Department.
Yeah, well, they do
Easy,
all.
I know.
They do all sorts of service and think about the National Guard and how they help us in disasters and all this. So this is a group of people who really sign up for a commitment to civic service.
The story you were telling about the guy who got busted, I was just thinking about the history teacher tangent real quick. Ancient Sparta, how they would take their young boys and send them off to fend for themselves.
The Order of the Arrow.
It was the agoge is what it was called. And if you got caught, you'd have to steal food essentially. And if you got caught stealing, you would be beaten, ostracized. All kinds of horrible things because you got caught.
Yeah,
it wasn't because you stole. It was because you got caught. And just and I think that's one thing that I think at one point we were very much civilian society was kind of shared in that honor culture that exists in places like the Citadel. But I'm hearing that story makes me realize kind of like how foreign that is to me as a civilian. I mean, I'm very much used to the 3 strikes, you're out.
Yeah,
right.
I promise I won't get caught next time, or I won't, do it again. But that's
Pat Conroy. The opening line of Pat Conroy's book, The Lords of Discipline, says, "I wear the ring." And when you drive onto the campus of the Citadel, there's a huge ring, like it's huge, bigger than this table that sits on the quad. And so in the senior military colleges and the academies like West Point and Air Force, they all get these really, they earn the ring. And it's quite an honor. So when you see those rings, that young, when they were 18 to 22. So think how hard this is, because I made so many mistakes during that period.
You're telling me,
that they are people who committed themselves to a very different experience in college. Talk about the diversity of colleges. I didn't even mention the academies and the senior military colleges. So it was a very different experience, and we're grateful for them because they end up being our officers.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I think we're coming up on time. I've got one more question, and then would like to do maybe some rapid fire questions with you. But in moments of diversity and uncertainty and what we're seeing,
Diversity, I love that.
Thank you.
One of the great treats of doing Hometown Holler is like when we get a little George Bushism.
Yes.
Yeah.
Throw a shoe at me.
Oh, no, what was it? Diversity?
Diversity of
I believe
division.
the Diversity was a ship that sailed during the Civil War.
Well, that's what I meant.
The USS Diversity.
Yes. Well, we were just talking the Citadel and all the good stuff.
That was an Anchorman throwback. Anyway, dude, that's great. No, sorry. I interrupted your question.
No, you did great. But what is the role of the university? We talked about it earlier, that belonging. So when you read it, it's for Elon specifically, it's lowercase b, then capitalized ELON, then lowercase ing. So belonging. What is a university's, you talked about it in the beginning, role, but what is it for the larger community? And where is a moment you have seen students graduate from the Citadel, from Elon, and have carried that on with them?
Yeah, I do. We use that phrase to describe the relationships that we want students to form while they're, and and faculty and staff too. So we use the phrase relationship rich. President Emeritus Leo Lambert and Dr. Peter Felton have written extensively about campuses that drive relationships. In practice for our students, and I'll mention just here in the county, one of the efforts that we really are making are to have more connections, right? This sense of not just that I'm here for college, but I'm here to experience being a community member here in the county. So we have started a program called Campus Alamance. And this is where every summer we have 50 to 60 interns who are the university and the donors of the university actually paying to be interns.
Hey, this is the hometown Holler.
Yes, so you can have an intern.
Yeah.
And
The wheels are turning.
Yes, you can have an intern. We'll pay them a $3,000 stipend for June and July.
Even if I say Divicity?
Yeah, even if you say
Especially.
Especially.
We are in for-profits, not-for-profits, government organizations.
That's awesome.
I love this program. We're in it. We just did our 4th year. And we can see the goal was to have more Elon students experiencing campus Alamance, to be a community member, and also for the community to get to meet more Elon students. So it's kind of a host strategy.
win-win.
Yeah. And now also we wanted them to consider working here in Alamance County for their first job out of college. And it is working. We have people who are working at Bobbitt Construction, at the Mebane, for the city of Mebane in their HR department with, Cone Health. So we have students choosing to, and I just think that is that relationship outcome is exactly what we wanted, whether it's permanent or for the time that they're here as students. It's this mutual investment in the success of Alamance County, right? I care about this community where I study and where I may live one day, and vice versa.
I want to shout out to that point. Roll Construction. I don't know, Jensen Roll. Yeah, he graduated from Elon, and he
all the roles, right?
Yeah, they are Elon family.
And, but made roots here in Alamance County. He became one of the quickest 30 under 30 in the triad. I mean, he is crushing it, and he's putting affordable housing out there and building quality stuff, and it's just that's awesome, and that wouldn't happen without the higher education of the university in your backyard here in rural North Carolina.
And really, universities are about seeds, planting seeds, right? That when you think about what are the ingredients for the future, you have to have education, right? That is, and I think most people agree. My experience is that people, no matter your political affiliation, agree that how important it is to have educational opportunity to help advance a person, a family, a society. I think all of us understand how critical and important that is. We may disagree on how much it should cost or how it should be designed, but there's
it's integral to the American dream,
Yes,
giving people the means to provide for themselves.
Yes, to advance their lives. Yeah.
Rapid fire.
Yeah, I think so, man.
All right, you want to go first, or should I go first?
You can go first.
What was the last movie you saw that really blew you away?
Was it Nosferatu?
Oh my God, Glenn, you guys!
I have gotten into South Korean television.
Oh, cool.
Movies
Oh, you like
too.
K-pop Demon Hunters?
I mean, it has.
Have you seen the one where the I think it's a girl who accidentally parachutes into North Korea, and they have it
Oh no, I hadn't seen that one.
It was kind of cool, actually. I saw a couple. It was a TV show. Yeah.
I'm in the Joseon era where they travel in time, and one of them is the chef of the king. You know why I love it? It is so happy, and it's got a little magical to it. And then another one is called, I'm just going to put it out here, called Beyond the Bar. Okay. And it's these Korean attorneys that are faced with justice issues every week, and they work to process what higher order thinking about what we should or shouldn't do in these events.
I like that.
Beyond the Bar. And they, it just gives me so much hope about problem solving and how, so I've gotten into it lately.
What's your favorite sport? Do you watch sports?
I do watch sports. I'll say table tennis is my favorite sport.
Stop it.
Because
Forrest Gump out there. Just...
Yeah, table tennis, and I like to play with students.
I do see that
pretty
where it's
good?
come play ping pong, table
With the
tennis.
president,
Yes.
You're pretty good?
I'm okay. My son is Olympic rated, but
What?
Yes, I've played table tennis my whole life, and I just enjoy it because you can talk while you play.
How do you hold the paddle?
I have not.
Sideways.
I'm do the thumb, which
yeah.
is not the professional, you know.
matter. If it works,
but
it works. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I can pretty much return any kind of hit, so I end up being consistent.
That's awesome.
One book for somebody who is not a reader, right? So let's not think of a higher reading level book, but what is a book the average everyday person probably should read?
Little Women.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
the most published book after the Bible.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
We watch it every Christmas. It was
It's a great movie.
My wife, she graduated from Elon. I met her in college, and now we're lifelong partners. And you know, there we
Excellent.
are. But her memory with Little Women, her parents read her the book, but then she was really big in ballet. She was in the Frederick Ballet Studio her whole life, and she did the Nutcracker, and she was Clara for many years. And every year, her mom would curl her hair as Clara and watch Little Women. Like it was just a thing.
Family tradition.
Yeah.
So what I love about that story, and Louisa May Alcott, the author, is that she had to write.
Yeah.
Her father, he didn't really work, and their family. So she ended up supporting the family. So she would write, and she taught herself to write with both hands because her hand would get tired writing because, you know, but this is back
She's
in the day.
amphibious.
Yeah.
That's
So
right.
she just wrote and wrote and wrote. But it just reminds us that excellence, because Little Women, right? It's like that excellence is often out of necessity. You know, you think what drives a great creative talent? You may think, oh, it's just all not. No, it's discipline. Like it was necessity.
Perspiration beats inspiration 10 times out of 10.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's a great expression.
Have you been to the Louisa May Alcott house?
In Concord? Yes, I have.
Isn't it awesome? It's a great historic site. Yeah.
It is a great historic.
Super well preserved.
It makes her seem so accessible.
Yes.
I saw that it's private. It's a private museum. And I saw that they have this thing now where you can go sit in her room and write.
Whoa.
Wow.
For inspiration. It's isn't that
I'll
that
pay
people
extra-
pay a
pay
lot of
extra for
money?
that,
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
Sure.
it's a lot of money.
Well, Dr. Book, this is this is a really, as we said at the top of the show, a difficult time to be in your line of work. But the fact that Elon is not just getting by but thriving, and that's a testament to the school, to its values, and to your leadership. And this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I have a lot of hope. I have a lot of hope. And I hope all the people who are listening to the podcast, I'm with 18 to 22-year-olds every day.
You can hang.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, we have a lot of good, and we should all be really hopeful that this generation, they are going to move us forward.
What is this generation called? Are they the Z?
I don't know if we're Zs or Alphas.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We're still in Z, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Dr. Book, thank you for coming to the show. And Daniel, I think that's
Thank you for
it.
having me. A lot of fun.
Oh, well, before we go, where can people find more information about Elon and their initiatives and what they're doing?
We're right on elon.edu, and follow us. We have it Today at Elon, where you can follow and hear what's happening every week at Elon.
Awesome. And Elon Local News Networker, ENN.
Yes,
They're
that's
awesome.
the student newscast, ENN.
All right, folks, thanks for listening. We'll see y'all next time.
Cheers.
Thank you.